people, and welcome to the very first episode of Wire Wrapping with Jasmine. Today we are going to wrap these two stones. These are just river rocks because me and my family, we went to Mohican over the weekend, and of course when I go somewhere I have to get something just to wire wrap. And when me and my daughter went walking in the river, I found this stone and it was flat on one side. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would make such a great pendant. And then to accompany it, I found a little flat pebble and almost in the shape of like a diamond. So today we are going to wire wrap that. So let's get started. Alright, so I think I'm going to wrap this in 20 gauge tarnish resistant wire. I'm not looking for it to be in like sterling silver or anything like that. And I'm just like roughly measuring. I'm not actually doing any measuring. I just kind of look at it and I'm like, I think that's enough. Snip. Because I actually never wrap with a plan in mind. That way I'm never disappointed in what I get. Unless it absolutely looks like crap. And I just can't stand it. I have to tear it up and throw it away. And if for some reason I need more wire, then I will find a way to attach it. I think I'm going to do at least 5, if not more. I always do an odd number for these because I like the, I want to call it a star weave, but I know it's not a star weave. I'm not quite sure what it's called. Here's 5. Alright, so now we got our wires cut. Find some, and I'm using the on a wire silver colored tarnish resistant wire. There we go, I was hiding my box. So it's on a wire, 24 gauge silver color, and it costs about the same as the $8.99 roll. So I like to do it while it's still on the spool, that way I don't have to keep attaching wires. So I'm just going to pick up a wire and attach it. I do one rotation around just to get it on there, and then I tie off the tail. That way I can go ahead and tuck it away so that it's out of my way. It's not going to be poking me at all. And see, here's the tail. If I can get it focused. See how it has a tail? And I'm just going to take my pliers and just push it down and keep pushing. There we go. And then I'm going to smush it together. That way it's all nice and tight. so it's not going to be bothering me. And this is what it looks like. Let's see if I can get any closer. There we go. That's what it looks like. Alright. So then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another wire. I'm going to put one on top. I'm going to put one on the bottom. Alright, so it looks like this. One on the top, one on the bottom. And I'm going to flip it from the back to the front, just like that, and come back up again so that I'm ready for the next rotation. So this is what it looks like. Let's see if my camera will focus. So that's what it looks like. I'm just going to smash it down. There you are. And then I'm going to do it again. Put one on the top and one on the bottom. And then come up from the back and come around and come and down. And then I'm going to smash it down. And push it closer together, that way it's not, there we go. So then you should have something like this. So now you have all 5 of your wires in your weave now. Now what you're going to do is you're going to come up, you're going to put this wire, and then you're just going to wrap the 3 middle wires. So it should look something like this. Oh, come on. So now you got, I think I have 5, and then I have 5 on the 1, I have 1 on 3, 1 on 5, and then 1 on 3 again. So now after that's done, I'm going to lift up the top 2 wires and put it in the middle, push it over as far as I can get it. And then when I come down, I'm going to lift up the bottom 2 wires and put it in the middle, just like that. And I'm going to do 5 rotations. So that was 1, 2, here I'm going to zoom out a little bit. 1, 2. Push it over. 3. 4. And 5. Okay, and then what I like to do is smash it down. All of it, just smash it all down, smash it all together. And then, there we go. That way it's all tight. So you got 5, 1, 1, 1, 5. And then from here, you're going to just keep going. Okay, so now, and we're just going to continue with that until we get all the way around the edge of the stone. And when I say that, I'm going to keep weaving, and then every once in a while, I'm going to check the stone to see if I've made it completely around the stone. So I'm going to do that off camera, so I'm not wasting all y'all's time, and this video is going to be super, super long. So just keep weaving that pattern until you get around the stone that you're wrapping. And I will see you here in just a few minutes when I get done wrapping my stone. Alright? Okay, so I finally finished this up. And I'm just going to take it and make sure that it fits. And I did make it a little too long, but I think that's going to be alright. If there's an issue, I can always fill in that gap. This gap right here with something. I don't know yet. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and clip off this wire. Just press down the length of the wire that's still open there so that it's not going to catch on anything. I'll start with the left wire in front like that, and then I'll just have them take turns so they're going to be intertwined when I'm done. So it should look something like this. Each one is intertwined with the other. And then you're going to just pull it down tight. Just pull it down tight. And you're going to put the stone back in. Whatever stone you decide to use. And because my shape is a little wonky, I'm just going to press the whole frame down. I'm just going to go ahead and press the whole frame down and kind of shape it to kind of go more securely around the stone like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire that I just cut off of it. I'm going to go ahead and reattach it. And I'm going to reattach it like 2 down. But like what I like to do is I like to zigzag it, and I'll push the stone up against the frame. But what I'm doing is I'm just like sewing it in to the frame. It's 3 in the morning, y'all. Give me a break. And I go down like every 3, sometimes even 4 intervals, I guess you'd call them, spaces maybe, to put my wire back through. So then, I normally, if I have some leftover wire, I normally just go back through to kind of reinforce it. And what I mean by that is I basically zigzag it back across so it'll look kind of like that. And sometimes I might put it back through the same hole to give it a more clean look. Other times, if I'm doing like a more intricate wrap, I'll just do it however, just to kind of get it in there and use up the wire. Because boy, do I not like to waste wire. I hate wasting wire. It's like the worst thing in the world for me. Actually, no, it's not. There are worse things in the world for me. But there we go. And then make it come up to this one again. And then I'll cross it again up at the top. So it'll look something like that. Because I'm running out of wire. And then to tie it off, what I normally do is I just take the same wire and I'll loop it through the same hole like 3, maybe 4 times, sometimes 5 if I still feel like it doesn't feel secure enough. So there's one. And you also have to be careful too, because if you bend the wire like a lot, then especially with this like copper core wire, it'll break. Well, I guess any wire will really break if you bend it enough. There's 3. One more just for good measure. I'm also running out of space in this hole. But I don't know if I can get closer. Alright. Then I'm just going to snip it off. And then we're just going to tuck that tail down in there. Probably should have grabbed something to eat before I started filming, but at this point I really don't care. And there's what it looks like so far. So now that stone is like really secure in there. And what I did was when I put the frame on here, I also tilted it in so that it kind of like cups the rock or the stone, whatever you want to call it. It cups it so that it's not like you have to push really hard for it to like fall through. So then what I do is there's 5 on each side, 5 strands on each side. So I just decide if I'm going to do a 2 or a 3 on whatever side. I think I'm going to do a 3 on each side. And then these 2 wires on each side. So these two are going to end up being the bail on each side. And then these 3 wires, I'm just going to bend down here to kind of keep them separated. So now this is what it looks like. And the reason why I use 2 wires for the bail, I know a lot of people just use the 1 wire for the bail. I like my bails to be sturdy, and like if one of the wires ends up like breaking for whatever reason, it'll still have this other wire to hold on to, so that it's really super secure, and like it'll take a lot more bending for it to actually break. So then what I like to do, I don't like to use the same weave for everything, and so here I used the one in the middle, and then kind of let it go out from there, and I just put that on backwards. Well, don't do that. I kind of like how it looks on the back side too, so I'm just not going to worry about this right now. It looks different. Yeah, it doesn't look as neat as I normally do. Here's a close-up. Doesn't look as neat as what I normally do, but I like it anyways. It's different. And this is a different kind of stone too. So I'm going to do the shorter side first. And I think I'm just going to stick with silver for that. So just decide which one's going to be your bottom wire, which one's going to be your top wire. Of course, the one in the middle has to be the one in the middle. But you can either choose this to be your bottom wire or this to be your bottom wire. And I think I'm going to choose this one to be my bottom wire, because I can actually tuck the ends over here. Here, might be able to get closer to show you. I can tuck my ends over here because these wires are going to cover it. See what I mean? These wires are going to end up covering this bottom wire over here. Right here. So I'm going to start my bottom right there so I can tuck my tail in there. And it won't be seen. Right? And then you're just going to tuck it in, and since it's all the way out here, now I'm going to push it all the way in. See right there? I don't know if you can see that. But I scooted it all the way down to where it lays right up against the first rotation on here. And then these wires will end up coming down and hiding that. See what I mean? So you can't even see it now with the wires right there. Alright. And then for this side, and now you have to make sure that these wires are going to stay over here, because once you start wrapping, if they get in your way, or if you take them completely out, then you're just going to be out of luck, because then you're just going to have to do something completely different to keep all your wires together, because these are just going to be out. So now with it laying flush against there, we're going to push these down and we're going to start wrapping. Now, I don't know what to do with here. I don't know what it's, oh goodness. I don't know what it's called, but I'll wrap 2 times around the 2 bottom wires. Two times around the 2 bottom wires, then I'm going to come up the back and wrap 2 times around the 2 top wires. So this middle wire is going to get wrapped every time, kind of following like the same trend as this, but it's a different weave. And then, I don't know, every time I finish a weave, I'm going to smush it down so that it lays flat. It makes it look a little nicer. And push it all the way in. So your first rotation should look something like this. Man, I just can't focus that, can I? There we go. See, 2 around the bottom, 2 around the top. Now we're going to do 2 around the bottom again. So this middle wire is going to get wrapped no matter what. Kind of following the same trend as this one. But not really. It's not really the same wrap. Alright, and I'm just going to go ahead and continue that off camera. I'll meet you back here when I'm done. Okay, so I just finished doing this, the two and two, with the one in the middle being covered every time. So now this side, since I don't want to do the same weave, I like to do all different weaves every time I make a pendant. I like the different patterns, I like the different textures of the weaving. So this one, alright, and then I'm going to move it all the way to the center, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the next wire up, the next base wire. I'm going to wrap it once and bring it back around. Just like that. And then I'm going to take and do one around all 3 wires. And I'm going to take my pliers and make sure that everything is flush. Just crimp it all down so that it all lays flat. So you should end up with something kind of like that. And so I'm just going to go ahead and keep wrapping. And then I'm going to just wrap the bottom 2 wires. And then I'm just going to wrap the bottom wire. So it should look something like this for right now. So bottom, next 2 wires, all 3 wires, and then bottom wire. And I'm going to wrap it around the bottom wire 3 times. So 2, and then 3. So it should look something like that for now. And then what I'm going to do, because looking at it, it looks kind of wonky. So I'm going to zoom out just for a minute. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smush all my wires down so that they look cleaner. And then I'm going to take the end where I wire wrap the 3 on the bottom. I'm just going to take it, just going to smush it all together. There we go. See? Smushed it down, and then I smushed it all together. Now that looks so much cleaner. And so I'm just going to go ahead and continue that pattern all the way to the end. Alright. So 3 around the bottom, then 1 around the bottom 2, and then 1 around all 3, 1 around the bottom 2, and then 3 around the bottom. Alright, and I will see you back here very soon. Alright, so I am back, and I finished that pattern all the way to the end. Now, what I did at the end, since I wanted to still kind of follow this pattern, is I ran out of the bottom wire. So what I did was I did 3 around the bottom one, and then I went behind the top 2 wires, and I did 2 around both wires, and then 3 around the bottom wire, 2 around both wires, and then 1 around the 3 around the bottom wire. And then when I knew I was coming to an end on the top wire, I just rolled it around the middle wire, because the middle wire was the longest wire. And you always want to leave a little bit so that you have enough room to hook it on to whichever hole is going that this is going into around the actual frame. So I like to leave myself at least a little bit so that I have enough wire to wrap it around, or, you know, and if I have too much wire, I can always clip it off. But that's what that looks like. Alright, so now what we're doing is I want to get these wires out of the way, these 2 wires. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bend them around and swirl them how I wanted to. And then I wanted to get rid of this gap too that happened when I was making the frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this longer wire first. It doesn't really matter which wire you start with, it's just whichever wire you feel is the best. I really wanted this really long one out of the way. I can deal with the short one, I can't deal with this really long one. So what I'm doing is I'm going to push it through the back. I'm going to push it through the back, from back to the front, to try and get rid of that hole that I don't like so much. And see, it's twisting around the back. I don't like that either, but hey, what are you gonna do? It's actually not pulling through either. So I'm just gonna leave it like that, and that's completely fine. So what I'm going to do now, so this is what it looks like. I'll do an up close. So all I did was I took this wire and I pulled it around the back. And then I went to go push it through, and this is not going through. And I wanted to kind of close that gap that's right here. So I'm just going to leave it like that, because it's not a big deal to me. I just let the wire and the rut tell me what to do. That's how I always do my pendants. I'm not sure if that's how you do them. I know some people like sketch them out before they start making them. I have never done that. I suck at drawing like really, really bad. But give me some wire and I can wrap circles around you. Literally. So I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to curl it around just like that. And then I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it go the other way. And then I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. And I'm actually going to turn it around where it's actually facing, like the triangles are facing up now. Because apparently they were just facing down. And all you're seeing right now is the bottom weave. I kind of want to make it all a little bit visible. I'm not sure if you guys are like that, but I am, unfortunately. And then, there we go. So, I wrapped it one way, came down, wrapped it the other way, came down, wrapped it the other way. And that's how I like doing my curls, I guess you would call them. And then what I'm going to do is, since this one prong right here, since there's one prong right here, I'm going to go ahead and attach this to that hole right there so that I can just go ahead and anchor it down, because if you just leave it like this, it's going to come up. You have to anchor this down somehow, and that's why I leave the ends, is so that I can just go ahead and anchor them down. And I'm just going to take my handy dandy pliers. And I'm just going to push it through. See how I just pushed it through? I just pushed it through the bottom one that has the most open slots on it. I just pushed it to the bottom. And now I'm going to take my round nose pliers because they give a better rounded edge on it. Hence the name round nose pliers. And then, like these, you can go, like the farther up you go, the bigger of the curl you're going to get. So I'm going to just wrap just a little bit bigger one. Not like a ton bigger, but just a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to tuck it so that the pokey bits aren't going to poke you. Alright. And I don't know if you can see that. Probably not with the camera all blurry. I don't know if you can see that. There it goes. But like, it's coming out a little bit. I don't like that. So what I'm trying to do is push it through again to try and like, it just does not want to come through. To try and like make it sit down better. There we go. It's a little bit better. It's not a ton better. See? It sat down a little bit. Not much, but it's better. Alright. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make another small curly Q to get rid of this this one and this one. I'm just gonna give another little small curly Q because since you already anchored it down right here, it's not going to come back up. So this piece right here, it's just not, you're not going to be able to curl it no matter what. So, and if you really want to, you can use your pliers on the biggest setting, because that helps too. You're just going to bring it around town. Bring it around town. And then I'm going to take this, and it looks like it wants to go in that hole, which is like the next one over from the one that we anchored it down in the first place. So, come on. There it goes. I don't know if you can see. See, I pushed it down through the one. See, right there's one we're anchored. So I wanted to go in the next one over. My goodness. Maybe it doesn't want to go in there. Who knows, right? Okay. And then we're going to take our round nose pliers and just pull it up and smash it down. There we go. That one curved really nicely. No pokey bits there. And then while I have this piece right here, I'm not going to do another curly Q because that one was really tight. So I'm just going to have it follow the top one, and I'm just going to tuck this in the same hole that I tucked in the previous one. So it's going to go right next to this one right here. Right here. Alright. I'm trying to stay in focus and push this through at the same time. Alright. So this is what it looks like so far. Yeah, it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. I think it's still the rock, but that's alright. still came out kind of pretty. Alright, with that secure down, I'm going to do the other one. And here's what it looks like all together so far. Alright, and now what we're going to do is we're going to do a figure 8 weave. So, and I bent the 2 front wires down so that, technically, so that they stay out of the way, but obviously they're still in the way. But yep, I'm just going to come around, go through the middle, wrap it around once again, just to make it stay secure. And then do the same thing over here, go around, and go through the middle. And then do the same thing on the other side. And always make sure your wires are straight, because that's the last thing you want is for your bail to get all bent up and stuff because you didn't have your wires straight. And you might have to hold it with your finger on the back so that it stays not bendy. And of course, if you don't like your bail, you can always cut it off and like attach more wires and whatever. You do you, boo. Just whatever makes you feel comfortable, relaxed. Don't get too stressed about it. This should be relaxing. It shouldn't be stressful. At least for me. I love wire wrapping. I love doing my chainmail. It's very soothing, very relaxing to me. And see, there's my bail so far. You just gotta keep holding it in place, because if you bend the wires too much, then your bail's gonna break off. That's what you don't want. You just don't want that to happen whatsoever. Well, it's turning out. Alright, now this is where it gets a little tricky, because we're nearing the top of the bale, and you're going to need it to start going inwards so that you can pull it down. So now I need to hold not only the front and the back, but now I need to hold the sides too. So I push it up against my finger right here, and I hold it down with my other two fingers. And I will gradually turn these in as I'm weaving, and keep the weaving wire and I know there's probably an easier way to do this somewhere, somehow, but I have not figured it out. You know what? Instead of doing that, I'm just gonna push the wires all the way up as far as I can get them, and then I'm just going to weave the one wire, and then I'll attach it on the other side and weave the one wire. So now we're just gonna make them come down into a point and give it a couple twists just to be sure, so that they stick together, just like that. So this is what it should look like right now. Alright. And it's okay if it's a little lopsided. You won't be able to tell once it's been curled. So now what I do is I just bend it over my finger. I know there's a lot of people that have like special tools and whatever. I don't, unfortunately. I just never got around to buying them. And then I'm going to take both of the wires and I'm going to push them through to the front. Alright, and these are just a little too straight for my liking, so I'm going to round them just a little bit. Okay, and then that's done. The same pattern, it's going to be 2 and then 4 around the bottom wire and then 2 around both wires. So 1, 2, alright, and then I'm going to do 4 around the bottom wire again. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm going to take my pliers and scoot the weave back as far as I possibly can. And clean it up a little bit by smashing it down. There we go. And I'm just going to straighten out my wires so that it's at least a little bit cleaner. Alright. One, two. And then smush it down so that it looks clean. And push it together. I don't know if you can see it. This one right here. And I'm pushing it back far so that it gives it like the illusion of like a continuous, like it was started before like I attached it to the pendant. And I just realized that I'm actually wrapping with 22 gauge wire. The other stuff I wrapped with 24 gauge. This is 22. I thought it was my 24 gauge, but I guess I was wrong. That might be why I'm having a lot of difficulty with this right here. Oh well, I'll just have to wrap this end with 22 gauge wire too. So, and I'm going to just keep continuing that pattern up until right here. So I'm going to go do that off camera and I'll get back with you. Alright, so I ended on a 2 around both of them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that little tail right there. And I'm just going to wrap around this one wire. Just like this. And I just wire up the end all the way to the end. And you always want to leave like a little bit at the very end because you do have to, like when you're doing the twists and turns and stuff, you're going to have to use one of the wires to anchor it down. That's why I leave like a little tail, probably like 5 or 6 millimeters, I think it's called. At least 5 or 6 millimeters at the very end. It's about the size of like your pinky nail. So from the bottom of your pinky nail to the top of your pinky nail, that's how big it should be. Because you're going to need at least that much to anchor the wire that you're bending to the actual pendant. But that's what it looks like so far. And now I'm also going to do the other side with the same weave. So 4 on the bottom, 2 around both, 4 on the bottom, 2 around both. And I'm going to do that the same way I did over here, all the way up to the end except for like a pinky nail. And then I'm going to just wrap the rest of the wire single like I did over here all the way until the end of my pinky nail, because you gotta leave a pinky nail in order to anchor the wire to the actual pendant. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that and I will be right back. Alright, so I got this other end done, and it is the 4 on the bottom and 2 around both. And then we got to where it's like a little more than a fingernail length, but that's fine. And then I did the one wrap around the rest of the wire and left another fingernail length. Okay, so this is what the pendant looks like so far. So we got these 2 wires that are still kind of willy-nilly hanging around. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to bend them around. And I like to make the swirls. So here's what the pendant looks like so far, with all the twists and turns and stuff. There we are. There's the one side done. Now it's time for the other side. And we're just going to do the same thing. Alright. And here is the finished product. This is what the stone looks like when it's all finished. Just like that. Oh my goodness, it looks so beautiful. Fantastic.